Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Mamoru Hosoda's Wolf Children in 2012. So yes, back again here with another anime review, and yes, this is the one that I watched. Well, this review is getting filmed on a Friday, and yes, Friday the 2nd. So I watched this film for the first time last Thursday. When this is getting recorded from this date. So yes, I've had a week or so to kind of just over a week to kind of let this sink in fully. So I'm kind of precise as I sometimes do. Where this is. Kind of how I think of this film specifically. Yes, without spoiling the end rating yet, but yes, this film, another Hosoda picture. I did pick this up, the Blu-ray here, and instantly after, the Girl Who Let Through Time, this guy, became one of the members of this list of just ones I have to explore their filmography, of course. And I did actually order and watch tonight Mirai, another film by him, and yes. Without spoiling this one, a lovely, lovely little film too, and yes, just another great, great film. This guy really has impressed me. The Girl Who Let Through Time, of course, being one of my favourite films of all time, and into my top 100. Certainly one of my top 5 animated films. Anime films. Sorry, yes, not animated overall, but anime. But this film is one that I really was looking forward to. It's very, very acclaimed. It's been on a couple of lists. I was checking out some lists actually after I watched this film. I saw a list of best anime films, and this was number one on one of these lists. So, yes, this film, is very, very, very interesting. It's a very unique film in the anime genre. Of course, I was so pumped for this film, and of course, I've kind of mentioned to maybe a subscriber, I'm seeing where it is on my favourite films list before reviewing this. Yes, the spoilers come on this review. This is a spoilers review, and to those who have not seen the film and don't want it spoiled, certainly do not spoil this for yourself. Go away, watch it, and kind of come back to this maybe. But what I'll say is, before I get into the spoilers, wow, this film. Do I recommend it? Absolutely yes. Yeah, and we will be talking about some spoilers here. But the simple plot, it is Hannah. She basically falls in love with this wolf man. He changed into a wolf. At times early on in the film, and yes, basically she marries him and she has children with him, and of course they are born. And they're not just human; they are half human, half wolf, and they change at times, of course, throughout the film into kind of wolf children. It's about them struggling to keep this a secret, and of course because Hannah, once the of course a big event happens here early on, and this was I cannot describe what this film done, but this it's basically around the 20-minute mark, which we'll get to in a minute. An event happens, and then it is basically Hannah and the children for the rest of the film. It explores childhood, growing up, coming of age film, and just they go into the countryside, of course, and it all unfolds from there. The rest of the film, I could not prepare myself for this. Let me tell you, this film just blew me away, and wow, this film, one of the greatest films ever made. An hour into this film, I thought, this is it. This certainly, no doubt, one of the best anime films. Once again, this guy Hosoda, very quite under the radar compared to a lot of these anime filmmakers. I really think we cannot let this happen. He has to be seen. His films, they are so remarkable. The ones I've seen, and yes, just even 10 minutes in, I found this, and certainly 20 minutes in, I was extremely emotional with this film, and it's something that I can't quite describe. I certainly couldn't at first. The emotions I was feeling, just very emotional. Very, very powerful stuff. Even as I say, the first 10, 15 minutes, and it's just a beautiful first act. It really, really is a spiritual experience, and it's highly romantic. Yuki is the daughter in the film, and she's basically recounting the what we see. You know, she's explaining things about her mother and her father, and how they fell in love and stuff, and you know, the fact that he's a wolf man as well, and the tragedy of this, you know, and the kind of just this otherworldly feel of this film, you know, what this brings, and of course, you see these wonderful, what I was catching on to, these wonderful lingering shots of simple things like the stars, and this really, it all adds up for a wonderful experience, one that I've never seen in this way ever in a film, and it really is something else. This, I count this as one of the very, very finest films ever made, and certainly well into the, you know, the very, very high, quite near the top of best films of the 2010s. No doubt for me, you know, this is a film that is, you know, in this kind of way, you know, the themes that it's exploring are very, very comparable to The Tree of Life. That's how good it is, and yes, this film blew me away, and you know, the 20-minute mark, of course, spoilers, this is a spoilers review, the Wolfman dies, and at this moment I broke down, as our character Hannah did, and the horrible thing, and the message as well there, you know, the way his body gets just chucked into the, you know, the van, of course, the garbage truck, and, you know, just kind of discarded because, you know, he's a wolf, he's an animal, and, you know, it's a very, very powerful thing here going on, and she's crying, of course, and she never gets to fully say goodbye in that way, and it's so powerful. And then, of course, shortly after this, you know, the kids, of course, you know, she's struggling to kind of keep this secret, their powers, of course, and the fact that they're half wolf, half human, and Arme, you know, is the son, and you know, of course, you've got Yuki as the daughter, and you know, they basically the rest of the film, you know, shortly after this, Hannah takes them to the countryside, quite far away from most, you know, kind of people, and there is some, you know, kind of side characters in the film as well. You know, she can't. This is one of the things it plays into. She can't quite escape, you know, from society fully. But yes, mostly on their own for the rest of the film, and you know what it does. It is go beyond most films. It really, this is something else. This film, you know, just the rest of the film is a wonderful, truly, truly wonderful exploration of parenthood. You know, just this family life. You know, it's so warm, full of heart, and you know, there is a beauty to this film that, in many regards, is even higher than, you know, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and very nearly most anime films. This is something else. You know, certainly if you've not seen this, you know, it has to be seen if you love anime and you've not quite got to this one, understandably. There's so many, of course, but yes, you know, it's the one that hopefully many people will take something from, and quite a lot of people I know will probably be thinking, wow, you know, why is this not talked about more? Because this is, for me, every bit as good as most of these big anime films. Not my number one pick, but not far off of that. You know, that's what I'm saying. It really, really is on the level of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. That's how good it is, and it just, wow. You know, this is a truly, you know, it's a fantastical film in every sense, and the emotions I feel, you know, throughout this film was so powerful. You know, it's something else. You know, I was moved to the core. Many moments I broke down. You know, this is such an emotional film. It made me cry at many moments, and very, you know, the mythic feel this film has is almost unmatched in this way. The way it just, you know, it's so powerful. But at first, you know, when they move to the countryside, there is tension and stuff, but it is very much a comedy at first. This is what I love. You know, this guy is doing, you know, done this with The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and in many ways, yes, Mirai, but that was mostly light-hearted. You know, it's not, you know, quite as comparable to these ones, you know, after watching that tonight. But yes, you know, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, it starts off kind of quite grounded, and you know, it's the stuff that's in this is used for comedy, but then it, you know, it turns into something that actually underlying, you know, the power to this. But yeah, no difference here. You know, there is a real, you know, a comedy early on. It's very light-hearted, you know, kind of cute and innocent. But then, wow, the second half in particular is just one of the most mind-blowing and extremely powerful. At times tragic, but mostly, you know, it's got its uplifting moments as well. It's bittersweet. You know, it really, really is. You know, it's so sad at times, but it's just so uplifting and just wonderful. You know, wonderful stuff. You know, these type of films that maybe you know, sad and things you wish. You wish, you know, certain things could stay the same and stuff, but you know, in the exploration throughout the film, the course of the film, it's something that brings so much beauty and warmth and kind of you know, just uplifting nature to you. That, you know, even though it's got its sad moments, it doesn't quite end in the way that you know, it's fully, you know, kind of everything you would want. You know, it's something that is just the way it explores all these themes, and you know, these themes of family, you know, and everything. And you know, this is very much supporting and you know, praising single parents. Very, very beautiful stuff here, and very something to appreciate here. You know, as Hosoda is doing this, you know, the way that Hannah has been left to look after these two children, not only just two children on her own in the middle of nowhere, but two wolf children. So you know, it's something that, you know, you couldn't get any more you know, kind of harder a task for a single, you know, parent and mother to do, and this is, you know, something that she does succeed wonderfully, of course, over the course of the film. And you know, in the end, there is something so primal about this, the way that these two children, they have different views. They start to kind of disperse in there, you know, almost the characters flip halfway through, as we know. You know, they, you know, Ame is one that at first you don't think he wants to be a wolf, but then of course, you know, and Yuki is more outgoing and wanting to kind of show off, you know, her powers and stuff. But then, you know, Ame is someone who halfway through kind of shifts and you know, got kind of a flip here, and he's the one in the end, of course, with just one of the most mind-blowing final acts in the film. He becomes, you know, one with nature, and of course becomes, you know, a wolf in that sense, and you know, goes off and into the wild, and it is, you know, it's kind of you've got this wonderful mythic epic moment that is actually very, very, without spoiling it, very you know, similar to Bambi, which I couldn't quite believe what he'd done here. It's very much like this, you know, this kind of ending, one of these ending scenes, of course, you know, Home After Rain, and it's one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen. It really, really is. Wow, you know, I broke down. I couldn't believe it. Just every emotion coming through there, and the way this narrative just unfolds over the film. It's just one of the most complete, you know, mind-blowing films I've ever seen in its narrative. It really, really is. This is a visionary film, no doubt. You know, it's just perfect in every sense. I have no flaws with this. In many, many ways, you know, the second best or third best anime film. You know, it's a few that was very, very close. It's, you know, I don't know what I prefer, this and The Girl Lit Through Time, but Whisper of the Heart, you know, is at the moment my second favourite anime film. But you know, it's on the level. You know, as I say to these films, you know, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's pretty much, you know, all these ones fighting out for the second spot. You know, but it's just pretty much just as good as Whisper of the Heart for me. And you know, The Girl Lit Through Time. I think this is better than, you know, quite a few Miyazaki films, which is something to say. You know, this is stunning, and this final act, wow, you know, the way this film comes together cannot be better. It really, really is perfect in its execution. There is so much wonder to this film, and you know, it does everything right. You know, it kind of explores childhood. It explores kind of coming to terms with you know, powers and being different, trying to fit in. I love how they go to school in the film as well, and they're trying to, trying to fit into society. But in the end, at least one of the characters realizes you don't have to. You can follow your destiny, and you know, be you know, what you're meant to be, and not quite, you know, not have to conform. But then you've got the flip side. You know, Yuki is a character who in the end, of course, does you know, kind of stick to being a human and leading that life, and she forms kind of a relationship as well with a character, as we know, who I just love that moment, you know, when he says, "I always knew, you know, that she was a wolf and stuff," you know, and of course that reveal, you know, this is something that is doing something I've never seen in a film in regards to the way, you know, this filmmaker is revealing visuals to us, you know, different moments throughout the film. Rarely do you see this, you know, in modern films where he's doing something that I have never seen in a particular way. The reveal of the curtain, that scene is genius storytelling. I was wowed by that moment. That scene, it's just beautiful. It makes so much sense, and the way he does that is really truly poetic, and it's something else. The way he does this, the moment we have to mention, the snow scene when they're going down the hill. Wow, you know, that moment, the nature music there, that grand spectacle of a sequence. It's one of the best things I've ever witnessed. I've ever the pleasure of viewing. It really, really is something else. I was just wowed. I was in awe of this moment. You know, and that's the moment I thought, yes, yes, this film has definitely reached. You know, one of my highest tiers. It really, really has, and it's definitely one of my well into my top 150 films. And you know, we'll get to the rating in the end, but you know, I cannot praise this film more. You know, this film does everything. It brings the joy, your joys of childhood. You've got this twist, of course, the fact they are wolf children, and I love the tension used when Hannah is trying to stop them from being seen, you know, in this way by other people, despite her, you know, desperate attempts to escape from society. She can't quite, and she's still got to kind of deal with this. You know, being, you know, kind of the thing that it's not enough to be a single parent dealing with the kids, but the fact she's got to hide this from everyone else, it just adds another layer to the film in the tension and in the comedy, rightfully so. Hosoda really injects, you know, kind of a wonderful sense of comedy to the film. The charm to this, you know, the magic, you know, the magic feeling. I was just loving this wonderful, cute little film, of course, and it's more than that though. It really, it's one of the most powerful films in the end, certainly, and halfway through, you really realise, at least I did, just how much, how meaningful this film really, really is, and just got the perfect opening act. You know, these moments, of course, as I say, that linger, visual moments of beauty and intimate moments. You know, I was just the fact that, you know, this character, the Wolfman, is only in the first 20 minutes really. He dies, as we know, and then his presence is still so felt throughout the rest of the film. That's really remarkable to do that. You know, it's one thing. It just proves how wonderful the first act is in establishing the characters, the feelings, and his presence, of course. Just such a great mysterious character. We never know too much about him, but you know, his presence is felt, and the sense of wonder that just shows once again within this world building, this story that's being told and how it's being told is genius. And as I say, it takes a real master filmmaker here to achieve the level of storytelling that is in this film. You know, I was astounded by this, and the animation, the visuals, this department is just wowing. It really, really is. How people can create a team, you know, individuals here together to create, you know, this wonderful piece of animation is really something to admire and to applaud. You know, it's truly wonderful how people can do this, and it's always something I've loved, animation, throughout my life. And yeah, it's just the level of passion and detail in this, and the ways that they're not gimmicky at all. You know, it's always to tell this story and to say something truly wonderful. You know, Japanese animation it's just so wonderful. There's never been a film, you know, Japanese animation that I've seen that is subpar. There's always really a level of passion and commitment to this, to the visuals. While there's different styles and stuff, and some are even better than others, and you know, different filmmakers, studios, perhaps, you know, doing different things. There's always something in all these ones that it's just, you know, something to take from and to just admire the work behind this and the level of passion. That's the thing, in creativity, and this is no exception. I do believe this to be one of the best looking, you know, animated films, full stop. It really, really is. You know, the way that weather is incorporated into the film, you know, to create a mood and atmosphere and to say something. You know, for example, the ending kind of moments, home after rain. You see that sunrise, you know, breaking through. Wow, it's just wow, what that does to add to that scene, to aid in this, you know, this sequence. Something else, you know, and of course the score by Masakatsu Takagi is truly monumental. Of course, Lullaby of the Peaceful Light, of course, and Cradle of Myriad Stars is just, wow, these are moments, that's on the menu as well, wonderful menu as well that I got with the Blu-ray. And it's moments like this, Mother's Song as well, they're such beautiful pieces of music. I think this is one of the best scores of the 2010s, definitely. So it's truly wonderful. Some of the best music I've ever heard, actually. Just the level of emotion. I've been listening to it over the last week, and there's times where I'm kind of doing stuff out somewhere, and just obviously I listen to music all the time when I'm doing things like that. But this was maybe sometimes it happens with films, it's a bit too close to when I've watched it and it's this emotional. I actually have it's been quite hard to listen to because it's so emotional, and there's so much within the score that's just bringing out moments, the tragic moments or minutes that are so just overwhelming with emotion that it's hard, it really is, but it's something that I do count as one of the best, among the best scores I've heard, full stop. This is truly beautiful across the board, and I just love the fable-like, feel it has. This is a fantasy film, and of course some people won't quite respond to it, but I think it's just the perfect blend of fantasy and reality here, and it's something that is very, very escapist, and it's fable-like, but it's such a blend here, with this grounded nature and these themes that you can feel that are so perfectly executed. There's so much it meshes so perfectly, and of course you've got these simple on the surface but truly powerful, potent themes of just the simple the love between parents and their children, of course, and lost love as well. Something that there's so much going on here. Individually very simple, on paper, but the way this is executed and the combination of all these different themes and feelings, it adds for an experience like no other. This is just the perfect. You get. It's not it's not epic quite like Mononoke, but it does feel the scope of this. It feels so big, so grand. Even just the way I love how it starts off in the city, and that most of the rest of the film is in the countryside, and just their journey, the adventure feel it has, kind of thing, and their kind of, it shows the different stages of childhood so wonderfully. It's comparable. Recent films, it really is comparable to something like The Tree of Life, the Malick film that has risen, since I've seen it. It's just always climbing on me. I'll reviewing that soon. But this is a film that I can compare it to. Actually, that is high praise. To do that, to compare it to a Malick film like that, because it has these similar sort of themes and the sense of purity, the beauty, and this family kind of feel it has, and it's just, I just love every moment of this film. So investing the character of Hannah. She is a great character, a truly one of the best characters in film for me. What a protagonist! So perfect. Wow, I am so in awe of this film. I could literally, this whole review could just be me, kind of freaking out here because it's so good. It's so good for me. I can't praise it more. I'm so in awe of this film. I've just been thinking about it all week. I'm not having time to watch films this week as much. Feature films. I watch a short film at least every day. I've done that for a few years, really, pretty much. But not watching too many features this week. And just thinking about this film, it's so perfect to me, and I would just recommend it. So much. You'll probably be quite surprised at how overlooked this film is and underappreciated maybe. But I think most people will at least take something from this. There's so much, kind of themes here. The ways kind of in praise of so many wonderful things. Single parents, the love between parents and children, but the way that separation in some ways, or different paths dispersing, will happen at some stage in individuals' lives, but the fact that Ame is kind of he does go off, of course, and it's only been roughly 13 years. This film's kind of been covering, but the way that it kind of it places emphasis on family, but it does as well encourage going ahead with what you want to do individually. It's the perfect balance here. Just why don't I just clap? This filmmaker really has achieved a film I truly connect to on every level, ticking every box, but just throw the checklist out the window, because this goes above and beyond what you would call a checklist film. I've said that quite a few times, but not for a while. This film really, really blew me away, and I think just following your destiny and individual what you feel is right, but also these fond memories this film is showing of this family, this very, very such a focused film, so personal, but it's got a massive scope, and it really says something about many, many things: society, isolation, having, being different. Maybe some people trying to fit in, other people saying no. I want to do what I feel is right, and what I has, kind of what is my destiny and stuff. And it's just got all this all round, such a well-rounded film in that sense, and it takes a real a master again, to kind of to let us, it does, jump maybe in time at times, throughout the film, but and I'm a film where you kind of you're wondering about what happens in between these moments, but not just that, before and after the film's events, because you're so immersed in this. The best films do this, the best stories, in general, do this, where you're wondering about what happened before and after, because this whole world, this whole universe, just through this story, it may be a year, the time is covered, 13 years like this, or some films like 50 years, or just a day, or a night, like some, kind of real time kind of films, for example, all these different films, when they're done to this level, you're left to kind of fill in the gaps, but also kind of just think about this whole world this these filmmakers create, and it's not just what is shown in the film, it's what isn't shown, and what's just simply you're left to wonder at, because these characters, for example, this world, these ideas, such creative ideas are brought to the table so wonderfully, and in such an engaging way. This is a mythic film, full of atmosphere. The tone is perfect. It's got comedy. It's got these, lovely little moments, just of childhood, and such a nostalgic film. It's so kind of potent, and wow, this film is so moving. What it kind of says about, parents and children, the love they can have, and just how important that is. But as I say, just going off eventually and following your own individual path in life. This is a perfect film, a flawless masterpiece, and I count it as one of the very, very best anime films. As I say, pretty much quite a few films fighting it out for the second or third best anime film for me. My favourite is behind me, Spirited Away, but these films are kind of second, third, fourth in line. There's a few here, and this is kind of very much in there, pretty much. It's very hard for me to decide, but it's very, very close to the Go Through Time, as his best film that I've seen. Hosoda, a true genius. This guy is someone that has to be kind of explored. I feel he is such a great director, filmmaker, creator here. Artist. Visionary. He is, everything here. He is just creating such wonderful films. This is a magical experience that just is so nostalgic. It's things that I connect to fully. It's things that go beyond most films that I've seen. The level, the mythic qualities it has. This whole the exposition throughout the film, and just the joys that we are shown, the joyous nature. And all these powerful, simple themes at times. That can be in films, but the way they're explored. This is when cinema is really at its best. Just humanity, and fantastical feel as well, which I love in cinema. It doesn't have to be a full-on fantasy film, because films I've mentioned before, The Godfather Part 2, and stuff. Days of Heaven, the way that they're presented in this just fantastical nature and spiritual feeling that you get. This is some some of the best fantasy, you know, if you will, in cinema. But this one is a fantasy film in terms of genre, and in that sense, you know, it's one of the best. I feel it's just an absolute masterpiece. 100% plus, tier one, a damn fine film. This film really just blew me away. I could applaud this, you know, forever. You know, this is something else. I was wowed by this film, and it had such an effect on me. I was, you know, it brought me to tears. It just, you know, gave me shivers. You know, from how epic it was. You know, these moments when, you know, the snow scene, of course. Wow, you know, just overwhelmed with emotion. This is a masterpiece of cinema. One of the best films, just in general, that I've ever seen. You know, it's just another anime film. You know, these films. You know, so many anime films are wowing me at the moment. You know, I've not seen yet, and just, you know, I thought a couple of years ago when I watched quite a lot of the Miyazakis or Studio Ghiblis at once. You know that maybe you know, I hope I don't run out of basically anime films first times to watch. But you know, I think the journey is continuing better than, you know, I thought it would turn out. You know, there's certainly so many basically underrated or, you know, just in general overlooked kind of under the radar anime films that aren't, you know, maybe as well known, but you know, in many ways are just as good, if not better. You know, and I think this is another example of a true master. The whole team behind this, the score, of course, as I say, is beautiful. The voice acting, not a single flaw, beautiful stuff. The level of emotion to the animation, the beauty, the fantastical nature it has, the primal feel, visceral nature that it has. You know, these moments where, you know, there's moments, as I say, you know, where you know, I'm just so caught up in this, and I'm thinking about the whole kind of you know, the before and after, as I say, very key here to the film, and these characters. Hannah is one of the best protagonists in an animated film, and you know, the way that she sacrifices, and just, you know, I find, you know, when she is just playing with the children as well, her children, it's just so beautiful, and you know, really lovely film. This, you know, something where she truly loves her children, and that it's so powerful the way it's done, and all the themes, you know, and of course the romance at the beginning that's just felt throughout the rest of the film by the Wolfman, the mysterious, rightfully so, mysterious figure here. You know, I was thinking, oh, you know, it's such a tragedy, but you know, maybe if it had been, you know, I would wonder, you know, kind of if he had been in the film more. I thought, you know, maybe he would have been, because I didn't know anything about the film before watching it, of course, rightfully so. But you know, I think it's actually great that he is not really in the film too much in hindsight, because you're left wondering more, and I think actually that plays into, you know, the power of it more, and actually allows the other themes to shine through more, you know, and the emphasis on, you know, the single parent, you know, Hannah, you know, bringing up these kids, of course, the twist being that they are wolf children, and just everything in this film is beautiful. Even the side characters, I found, you know, great comedy in this, you know, the warmth, the heart of the film, the sense of culture, Japanese, you know, culture here, you know, the always evident warmth of this, you know, these Japanese films. You know, I love Japanese cinema. I love anime films so much, and it's another one of the best for me. Another anime film that really gets extremely high on my list, and no doubt tier one, I have to give it this. You know, tier ones aren't all in my top 100, but near enough, and certainly extremely high in my top 150. That's a film that is truly monumental, and not necessarily getting into the tier S, doesn't need to, but you know, regardless if it's not, you know, quite my highest rating, it's a film that exceeds, you know, and goes beyond most films. Means so much to me. This, a truly heavenly experience, an out of body experience, spiritual, you know, so powerful. Themes that I think everyone can connect to in some way. You know, at least just find things in this that you can take from it, or at least just admire it. I think, and if you haven't seen a film and you're skipping to the end now, check it out. You know, it's fairly cheap on Blu-ray and stuff, but you know, and I think if you like anime and you haven't quite got around to this, no doubt, you know, a recommendation. And yes, it is one of the best for me. I think if someone says, you know, oh, you prefer it to, you know, kind of so many of these films, I'm not going to get into specifics, but there's loads of different films, anime films. I'd say personally, I do count this as one of the best. So it's high praise that I think, and yes, just I didn't expect it to be this good. This director is wowing me, and it's one of the best films I've ever seen. I've had the pleasure of viewing. I hope everyone that checks it out or has checked it out already has had a great experience and has connected to this in some way and taken some stuff from this and great, of course, if you do. And yes, I couldn't say much more. I think just as I've shown, one of the most powerful films for me, and I was so invested, so moved, so kind of transported to this world, these unique ideas. Maybe on paper, it would be kind of simple themes, but this is the best at times in cinema for me. Mostly when there is simplicity, but it's taken to another level spiritually, or just the way it's executed. So perfect, this film. And yes, Wolf Children. I think I'll stop now because yes, I can't say much more, and it really is a film you just need to check out. And yes, absolutely tell me your thoughts in the comments if you've seen this film, because it's such a fascinating film. I'm quite kind of interested as to why this isn't talked about a bit more, and it is it has got a love, of course. It's very acclaimed, no doubt. I'm not playing that down, but I really think it's one of the best anime films. And just personally for me, it'd be great if people in the comments talk about this, but one of the best just films in cinema of all time. I really count this as one of the greatest creations in cinema, of course. And yes, thanks so much for watching my review. Of course, more anime films I am so much looking forward to watching, reviewing. Of course, Mirai, lovely film. I watched this tonight, and hopefully get a review up within the next week of this. And I think check this out. Definitely recommend that as well. Same director, of course, Hosoda. And yes, I have actually watched a Kuroki film since as well. My last reviews. Hopefully be uploading. That would have probably actually already been uploaded, but just more to come in general. And within a week or so, there'll be reviews much more frequently from now on. The last few weeks has been a bit busy and stuff, but certainly not much more kind of in that vein going forward. I will be doing a review hopefully every two or 3 days maximum from now on. So yes, as always, thanks for watching my review.